perhaps it was not the right time. And the right time for liberation, I want to believe that is what you mean, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I am thinking again, is it possible that, because we are talking of a country that is just 7 years into independence, and we are looking at a system that is far ahead of us because the European power who granted us independence, because actually, I think what we should have gotten was to take it by force. Not there was no need for the ceremony.
Yes.
That is where I think we are be tricked, thinking that we are free, but we are really not free. If I take my freedom, then I earn it. I decide how I want to govern myself.
Yes.
So what I'm thinking is it possible that agitation like that of Biafra can somehow be instrumentalized to perpetuate divisions in Nigeria? Now we have the Oduduwa that are also wanted to separate. No, we have the Arewa that also wanted to separate. Are we really sure that these people are fighting for the people, that this individual, these leaders, regional leaders, are fighting for the liberation of their people, or they are just being used to perpetuate this tension so that the Nigerian people cannot fight for the real thing? Because up until this moment, the real debate in Nigeria is not how to generate electricity. It's not how to tap into the resources in Nigeria, because those are not the issue right now. But in China, in Europe, in the United States, those are the issue. And those people will always succeed in those issues while we succeed in talking about Arewa, the Oduduwa, and the rest of it. Is it possible that what led to the Nigerian Civil War, like the case of this secession, and what we are continuing to have today, some of whom we're also going to talk about in the course of this conversation, is a tactics to keep Nigeria the way it is today? Is it possible?
I feel it is a tactics. Like I said, I have spoken a bit of that. Maybe when I said, you asked me if it was of a good intention. And then I said to you, it wouldn't have been, and probably might not be, or wouldn't be, because it has already been pre-planned by the colonial masters. This is just it. Whatever that is going on, I repeat again, I don't believe that is entirely resting on the indigenous Nigerians. Whatever that is going on would have been a remoted thing, pre-planned, to make sure that at this time it will be affecting Nigeria. Remember, in some of my popular sayings, I say that we will be fighting and still waiting for Western intervention. And the Western intervention we are waiting for, it is their interest for us to fight so that they will continue to pool our resources. If we don't fight, there is no food for them. There's no resources. So it is always good. It's a wonderful situation. It's amazing for Nigerians to start or continue to fight because someone is benefiting from that fight, even as we are talking at the moment. And who is that someone? The Western world. But who made them the judge? Why must they set the pace? What makes them feel that it is them that should set the pace of things happening in Nigeria? And that's exactly the same question I asked one of the people. I said, who set the pace of a lingua franca to be English? Why was it not set to be Swahili? in the whole of African country who set the pace. Some of these laws, if we want to get things right, we really need to get up Africans, sit up. The Africans must sit up. It is not a one-person thing. It is a thing that we have to come collectively and have a formidable effort. And this will be achieved without calling names. Oh, who are you? I know your mother and your father. You are from the next village and that. So what can you give us? Because we know you. Let us appreciate each other. Let us begin to respect each other. Let us begin to know that we cannot be fighting and expect Western intervention in our fights. If we are doing that, we are still behind. Because when they intervene with their interests. But if we make it an African thing and solve our problems, then, I repeat, then we will remain together the way we used to remain in 1300s and 1800s according to what is left for us by our forefathers. But we will not be allowed to enjoy or to hold on things of such nature. We will not be allowed. Because even from the 1300s down to the amalgamation of the West and Lord Lugard movement was when Africa was sold. Coming back to Nigeria. And then Nigeria has its own capacity. It's a blessed nation, I repeat. A blessed and wonderful nation that every one of us can go back home and be contented without working if our resources are betterly managed. But because that is not done, and the Western world knows that from the beginning, if we give power to these people, they will not allow us anymore to come into this country. Let us rather give power to those we can control, because this section of this country is too wise. This section is too wise. So let's look at this section that we can manipulate and control easily. Give them power and let the power continue to exist within them. And then the brighter ones will now agitate that those ones are not supposed to have this power because we are the elites, we are the learned. Then they know these are setups. That's where I'm going to. It is a careful setup. It is a gimmick that they have, planned so well. And they know that this is what can lead to depopulation. They achieve the aim through vaccines and whatever. Our own vaccine is constant fighting and killing of our people. This is the much I can say.
It's always ended with the responsibility, because it is only when we take responsibility to change the situation that change will actually happen. I'm going to ask you something relating to the lesson, if any, that we can learn from the Nigerian Civil War. If it is true that somebody else is just taking advantage of our crisis, can we learn anything from the past so that as we move going forward, we can do something differently? Can we do this?
Yes. The war had an adverse effect on us. It set us back. It destroyed a lot of things in Nigeria, and we fought blindly, but it started, and something led to that blind fight. But I want to say that my people perishes due to lack of knowledge. The knowledge that they do not have is biblical. There is a purpose at which that war started, but they did not follow the prescribed order. And going into the next one without prescribed order will be very devastating. The effect of it is that we lost a lot of souls. We lost a lot of resources. Houses were burned down, destroyed everywhere that you can think of, like a desert. Are we prepared to go back to that? And we are fighting this war remotely. We are fighting this war to kill ourselves for the achievement or for the purpose of the Western world to be achieved. We are used by them continually to make sure that they feed themselves. These are questions that we must answer.